Even though you think you need it, you really don't need it. This is because a long time ago when you came here, something else took over your mind and it's been in control of it from day one. So that's why you have your addictions, your obsessions, your patterns, habits, routines that you follow. If something gets too stressful, you fall back on them as like your go-to comfort zone. It could be anything. They control your feelings and emotions, impulses, instincts, urges, desires, temptations, and they're always going to coerce you with that. You're always going to be coerced through these tethers that they control to get you to gravitate to these things that keep you addicted and continually keep lowering your vibration. Of course, I speak from experience. I'm not saying like, hey, everybody, I'm better than you. Not at all. I'm speaking from straight out experience. I've noticed that like when something gets like unfamiliar and like, even though I've been trying to do the work and I'm like trying to make things happen, nothing seems to be happening. So I realize I have to surrender. And then when the divine gives me a plan, I'm like, I don't like that plan. And then you get stressed out and you just get disgusted with it. So you go back to those patterns and habits and routines again, those addictions, those obsessions. And that's where your feelings and emotions are controlled, impulses and instincts, your urges, your temptations, your desires, things that you think that you need, then you really don't, because you're existing in the mind that's controlled by an outside source. So it's always going to keep feeding you that story. Oh, it's going to get worse. You're going to need to go back and cope with this and grab that and use this to help you with that. Usually it's drugs, alcohol, whatever it is. And that's what happens when you find yourself in the mind. So you have to realize you have the power to take control over it. It's just an illusion. This place is a simulator. I've said it a million times. Your mind is like a warehouse that stores the elements of energies called illusions. And you go down the aisles like illusion, 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 fantasy, fiction, figment, not real, imaginary. None of it's real. And your mind is like convincing you it's real. So therefore you panic because how do I rectify this? How do I remedy this situation? How do I make it better? Where are the answers? Where's the solutions? Where are the proper directions to get me out of here? There are none. So what is it? They're going to send you back to your addictions and your obsessions and your patterns and habits and routines again. It's a cyclical insanity. I'm telling you, once you realize you have the power to say, wait a minute, you have to confront your mechanism that causes you to self-sabotage and say, I don't need this stuff. I never did. I don't need alcohol and drugs and video game, whatever it is you're into. Whatever your addiction is or you think your addiction is, it's imaginary. See how they work is the things that are actually imaginary, they make you think they're real. The things that are actually real, they want you to think are imaginary. So your problems that you think are real are actually an illusion. So you cannot rectify an illusion because it doesn't exist. There's no way you can rectify something that never was created. It's just a projection. It looks like it's real, but it's not. So this causes you to go back and do things that you regret later on, which even lowers your vibration more. But you're a human being. You make mistakes. Forgive yourself. That's why you're here. To learn from these things, to not have them happen again. So you can move on to better things. So just say to yourself, today is the day. Enough is enough. I'm not going to do this stuff anymore. I'm not going to follow the same patterns. Whether you're lonely or alone or isolated or you don't have any type of area where you socialize with friends anymore, because after 4 years ago with the lockdowns and everything, that pretty much changed a lot of stuff for people. They never really came back. Usually they were very social, outgoing, extroverted, but after that whole lockdown and all that, a lot of people it changed them permanently, and that was the intent, unfortunately. They're not so outgoing. They're not so extroverted. They're not so keen on being themselves anymore, or go out and enjoy life anymore. They got acclimated to staying in a prison cell. So that damaged a lot of people and affected them detrimentally. So the point of this video is that you're in control. You're in control. You can smile if you want. You could be happy if you want. You could change anything if you want. Granted, you are not in control of the world around you, but you can control the immediate proximity of the environment that you occupy. Yes, you can. We all can. And that's more than enough. So let me leave you with these words, that you are the power. You have the control. You are the authority. You're in charge. So it goes the way you want. If you want to keep feeding the same patterns and habits, that's what you're going to see. But if you want to say to the universe, I'm willing to accept whatever you have to offer me, and I'm going to go for it, and operate on faith, then let it happen. I know sometimes you feel like crying and breaking down and screaming. We all do, especially what's going on now with all the heavy metals they're putting in the air, the water, the food. It's working in tandem with those microwave towers and satellites they're pumping to us. Trust me, some crazy stuff, man. Like I said, it's going to get harder before it gets easier. I mean, this was expected for many years. They got a lot of crazy things on the drawing board they want to try out. But nonetheless, just regain control of your faculties, and just know that, listen, you are a human being, you have desires, you have needs, you have urges, but be in control of them. Don't allow something outside you to control that, because they'll just exploit you with it, manipulate you, and they'll just use you. And those are nefarious entities. So just, love yourself enough to say, I'm not going to allow anything to control me anymore. I'm going to be in control of these irrational, illogical, unstable, unrealistic feelings and emotions, because that's what they are. And your impulses, your instincts, your urges have to be under your control. Meaning you have to satisfy your urges, of course, but you do it in a reasonable manner. Of course you do. I mean, that's the purpose of being here. One of the purposes is to enjoy life. Buy nice things, be with people you're attracted to, and, be intimate with them, or whatever the case may be, as a, consenting adult, of course. But you're not here to be a robot to sit in a box all day long, isolated, and desensitized. That's not the purpose of you being here. Forgive yourself, because there really are no mistakes. It's just lessons being learned. The thing is that it becomes a mistake if you repeat it again and again and again. But you got to learn at some point to say, I just don't want to find myself doing the same things and wondering why it is my life doesn't change. So we're all in that boat, and me too. That's the whole reason why I got the video channel going. So anyway, you have a blessed day. You are always loved, and you're never alone. And remember, you are more powerful than you're giving yourself credit for, first off. Secondly, you're more amazing and incredible than you've ever been motivated to realize. And lastly, it's all about self-love. Because you've connected to something low vibrational that's in control of you. That's your lower ego self. You have to reconnect to your higher self, which is your authentic self, your true self. And all that stuff just becomes nullified, negated, and dissolved. It just becomes diffused. So if you have any type of urges, you have to satisfy them. These are energies that are wanting to be expressed to the fullest potential in the physical. So you have to do that. And of course in a proper manner, and also what's conducive to being, mature in a responsible manner, obviously. But nonetheless, energy has to be, conveyed and expressed and transmitted to its fullest potential until it's realized. So you can't repress, suppress, or internalize these things. So they have to be released. And don't fault yourself for making mistakes from time to time. Nobody's perfect.